Cup of coffee? Sit down, son. How's the Banshee take the water?
All right, if you fly her in.
Harry, you're one of the best pilots in this Navy. You go down low, you get the job done.
From you, I appreciate it.
Why not stay in the Navy? There's a great future for you here.
You know what I think of the Navy, sir.
Still bitter, are you?
Still, I was unattached. The organized units were drawing pay, and they were left home. I was called. Sometimes I'm so bitter I could conjure up the works on purpose.
Why don't you?
You know why I don't, sir. The catapult fires. There's that terrific moment you're out on the front, on your way to Korea, so you say, what the heck, I'm here, might as well do the job. But it would be easier to take it to people back home we're helping. But in Denver, nobody really knew where there was a war. Except for my wife and the girls. Nobody supports this war. Every war is the wrong one. Could anything be stupider than choosing Gunnikel for the battleground? And look at us today.
Imagine the United States Navy, tied down to a few square miles of ocean. The Marines are worse, dug into permanent trenches, and the Air Force is the most misused of all. Bombers flying close air support. Militarily, this war is a tragedy.
And why don't we pull out?
That's rubbish, son, and you know it. All throughout history, free men have had to fight the wrong war in the wrong place. But it's the war we're stuck with. That's why, one day, we'll knock those bridges down at Toko-Ri. More coffee?
Better get back to work.
It angers me when civilians like Brubaker suggested that I, a professional military man, could not understand war. Quite the contrary, I know no civilian who understands war as thoroughly as me. 2 sons and a home I have given to war. And now, in Korea, of the 272 pilots who have initially served with me in this task force, 31 have been killed by communist gunfire. No one need tell me what war is. All wars are stupid, but we'd better learn to handle this stupidity. What would they have us abandon to the enemy? Korea, then Japan and the Philippines? Sooner or later Hawaii? Maybe California, Colorado? I've held on to one conviction. Someday, a messenger will run in and tell the commissars. They even knocked out the bridges at Toko-Ri. And that's the day they'll quit.
My husband tells me that you can explain to me why this war is necessary. I mean, I can see why you can get excited about it. But Harry has a home and a family.
I'm not excited about this war, and I don't think it's necessary. Well, it wouldn't be in a sensible world, but for the present, it is inevitable.
So if it's inevitable, then why has the burden fallen on just a few men?
I don't know. You take the other night, where your husband bombed a bridge. Because he's one of the best pilots in the Navy, he took out 2 spans. He didn't have to do it. He could have veered away, and no one would have known. But some men don't veer away. Some men hammer on in. I always think of those men as the voluntary men.
So until the last bridge is knocked out, the war has to be fought by just a few men? The voluntary men?
That's right. The world is always dependent upon the voluntary men. Has your husband talked to you about the bridges at Toko-Ri?
No, he never talks about the war.
You must ask him about those bridges.
Is he involved with those bridges?
Yes. Once we get back to sea, he must bomb those bridges.
Why did you tell me this?
In 1942, I had a daughter, as sweet as you. She was my daughter-in-law, really. Then my son was killed at Midway, trying to torpedo a Jap carrier. She never recovered. For a while, she tried to make love with every man in uniform, thought he might die one day. Then she grew to loathe herself, tried to commit suicide. What she's doing now, or where she is, I don't know. But once, she was my daughter.
Well, if things go wrong on the bridges, I'd be like...
Perhaps. If we refuse to acknowledge what we're involved in, terrible consequences can sometimes occur.
Wow, could have picked a wonderful place to fight a war. Well, we better get Nestor in here. The 3 of us can stand off these commies for days. Is he dead? Yep. Damn it. I should have... They were gonna give Nestor a medal.
Why'd you bring a copter in here?
Because I take care of my men, sir.
Those guys know what they're doing.
But they don't know what they're gonna get.
What happened to me? I was a lawyer from Denver, and I never wanted any of this. Right now, the University of Colorado is playing Denver. 8,000 people are there, and none of them care about Korea. None of them know there's a war, except for Nancy and the girls.
For many hours, I stayed alone in my office. Toward the early hours of the morning, I heard the anti-submarine patrol go out, the engines roaring to life. Why is America lucky enough to have such men? They leave this tiny ship and fly against the enemy. Then they must seek this ship, lost somewhere on the sea. And when they find it, they have to land upon its pitching deck. Where did we get such men?